Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sotononono Dialogue Series number 2. I'm your host, Adam Lobel, Representative Director of Kumano Shindo General Incorporated Association based in Kumano City, Mie Prefecture, Japan. And I'm here with Carolina, also a director of Kumano Shindo, among other prominent roles that she plays around the world. In Portugal and South Africa and other places. Carolina, can you introduce yourself briefly? And just as a matter of format, after we speak a little bit, I will also interpret. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Adam. Good evening, everyone. I'm joining you all today from Portugal. So I have been part of the Kumano Shindo project for several years now, since I met Adam through a network that we're both part of people working to forward the regenerative paradigm around the world called the Global Regeneration COLAB. The vision for the project was really beautiful, and I thought that I could add some value with this permaculture design and this idea of building networks and pollination innovation across borders through different networks. And this is how we've been trying to develop the project through the last years. And other than that, my background is also in ecology, and I support social and environmental impact projects around the world and through different networks. Sorry if that's a lot, Adam. Back to you.
No problem. キャロリナさんは、数年前から、熊野新道のプロジェクトに携わっています。で、私たち会ったきっかけは、グローバル・リジェネラティブ・コーラブという、主にオンライン、の活動やってる、パンデミックの、最中に、毎週の水曜日に習字ミーティングがありまして、で、そのリジェネラティブは、再生型、持続可能を超えた、持続可能からさらに、進化した思考、農業でも、ビジネスでも、哲学でも、すべてを含めている、新しいパラダイムですけれども、そこであったりして、で、2022年から始めて、熊野、訪問しました。そして、カロリーナさんはいくつかの世界中のプロジェクト、主に、社会的なインパクト、貢献のあるプロジェクトも支援しています。So, I prepared a few slides, but also interested in, let's see, we have a guest. I'm also interested in what compelled you to make your first visit to Kumano in 2022.
Well, I think it was after getting to know the different people involved in the project, and that led to creating a permaculture design for the land that was quite comprehensive, a lot of layers, a lot of ideas. But then it was all done through virtual maps, GIS data, and I was aware that it might not be the most accurate thing. So then I was very excited when I was invited to actually go and start to implement some of the ideas on the land. It was very interesting to get there and actually realize, well, there's quite some difference between the lay of the land here than just looking at it through a map. Had to readjust some of those things, but then we actually started working on the land. We had some events. We set up some of our initial gardens, some of our initial structures, and some initial engagements with the community. So that was really fun. And on top of everything, to be fair, I had an interest in the Kumano region from years before, since the first visit I made to Japan, when I had found out about the Kumano Kodo, had wanted to visit and walk some of it. but that never ended up happening at the time. And then through this project, I have been able to immerse myself also in the region, learn about the local culture and the incredible nature just that surrounds the project itself.
So while you had, just to clarify, while you had an interest in the Kodo prior, this was your first time to the Kumano area.
Yes, I mean, I had been to Koyasan very briefly, which is also within the same region, and it's also touched on by the Kumano Kodo, but I had not been to Kumano City. I had not been on any of the trails. It was just a very brief visit. I had not experienced the forests, the nature at all until I visited.
When was that visit to Koyasan?
That visit was in 2018, actually.
Very nice. カロリーナさんは、熊野に来る前に、土地のデザイン、パーマカルチャーの、観点から、土地のデザインに携わってまして、関わりまして、で、いろんなこう地図が、Google の、衛星データなどに基づいて、包括的なこうプランを、立ててました。しかし、やっぱりそのリアル、で、実際に行っての方が、デザインの観点からとこの活用の道筋を計画するためにより、役に立つというか、より具体化ができるということが分かって、すごいワクワクして熊野へ行く計画を立てました。で、以前日本にも、いまして、その中には2018年、実際に高野山も訪問しましたけれども、その際は、高野山訪問したんですが、熊野古道を実際にこう歩く、また、熊野市、を体験する経験はなく、なので非常にこう貴重な、体験に2022年の4ヶ月の訪問非常に重要な貴重な体験になったそうです。So,あと追加点としては、いくつかその2020年の訪問の際は、コミュニティを中心としたイベント、2022年の子供の日のイベントや、いくつかのガーデンを中心とした、イベントもやってました。So, can you tell me a little bit about some of the work you did on the land? I'll just share a screen here. I know you did there were some zones you created. Can you tell me kind of what, in a brief amount of time, some of your thinking, your motivations were, what your goals were on the land?
Okay, so I think one of the main goals for the design was this idea that it would be able to serve the community in different ways and that it would be a demonstration site. And there were some interesting challenges given, for example, the difficulty in access. How do we take the most advantage of the land, given its constraints, and that there's a building on one end, but the easiest access is at the other opposite end. So the land was designed or planned in a way that there would be easy access for the community on one end, where people would be able to, come to workshops, maybe do some little markets, visit some demonstration sites, and then at the same time, at the other end, you would have something, a building that could serve some other activities and that could potentially also host people for residencies or long-term volunteering that would, in a way, bring some longer-term, let's say, energy into the region. So this was kind of some of the initial plan, and we started, of course, small because at the time the house it's come a long way, but it was still quite very early stages in its rebuild. So a lot of work was also clearing out the house, just preparing for rebuild. And then on the land itself, we started with some of the most simple demonstration things that we could do. We set up a a spiral herb garden, which takes advantage of different sort of very, very microclimates to grow different types of herbs. We also set up a mandala garden that was at the same time a demonstration of a permaculture technique, but also a demonstration of different edible plants that were found on the land anyway. So how can you make a garden that you don't actually have to go and buy plants for, but it's still edible, plants with medicinal purposes, and it was all naturally found. So we created a demonstration of that. We also built a small, simple greenhouse and some hugel beds. So hugel beds are a type of planting bed that has a lot of compostable material under it actually, and we had a lot of compostable wood and other let's say waste from gardening on the land. So we just took advantage of that and built it. We also used a lot of the old tatami mats. We repurposed them to use as soil cover and to create some paths. Also creating paths was a big a big element of what we did, because the land was quite overgrown when we started, and with the Kumano climate, a lot grows in a very short amount of time. So just creating ways for people to be able to experience the land. We planted some trees. We also set up a small demonstration of agroforestry principles. And last but not least, we made a small workshop on building a cob oven out of natural materials such as clay that were found on the land itself.
Thank you.
That
And we're also joined by another one of our directors, Miki Koji. Welcome to the session. So I'll just translate briefly. この短時間で、主に、何を目標にしてたかというと、実証実験、あとは今後のその可能性を見えるか可視化させる目的になってました。それで、この細長街の、土地の、特徴で言いますと、片方は、西の方は、家があるんですけれども、あまりアクセスしにくくて、また、その右端っこ、東端っこの方は、よりワークショップとかマーケットとか、しやすいアクセスしやすいので、そのより人が集まれる、場所ですけれども、その家、からちょっと離れてますというチャレンジもあります。その中で、ハーブスパイラルとか、を作ったり、写真はまた、今ないんですけれども、ご興味ある方に共有できます。あとは、マンダラガーデンっていう、いくつかのその、Can you tell me a little bit more about the mandala garden principle, Carolina?
The principle is that it really diminishes the amount of pathways that you create to access the garden area. So there's a central pathway and then several spoke paths, and then that allows you to access the planting beds without stepping on them, and compacting the soil. And it's just a space efficient way, and it looks nice.
この、マンダラガーデンの特徴といいますと、歩く道を少なくする。本当に中心なところから、いくつかのこのスポークというか、自転車の、ウィールみたいな感じになりますけれども、その中心のところから簡単にあまり他のところを踏まずに、そのガーデンのところに入ることができる。And, また、いくつかのその固有種、熊の固有種も中心としたガーデン作りも実証実験も作ってまして、そうすると苗とかのコストとか、 なくても、その熊野の固有種を中心とした、そうですね、ガーデンデザインということですと、まあ、その一つを、熊野の、まあ、その現場の、可能性をこう、見える化できたということですね。まあ、当時のその家は、今より、のレノベーションが、当然進んでなかった時期だったので、本当にその休憩できる場所さえもなく、まあ、そういう束縛というか、限定のある、条件から、まあ、ベスト尽くして、その、サイトの現場の可能性を見せることために全力尽くしたんですね。So, can you tell me a little bit about during your first, and actually you made several trips to Kumano already, and you're planning another one. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with the Kumano Kodo, and also your relationship to, I want to say maybe Kumano Shinko, Kumano belief? Um, and I'll just put it out there because you've walked the Kodo much more than I have. I've been to Kumano many times. I'm actually going to stop sharing for a second. I'm just going to see if there are any other participants who pinged me from PTEX. Hold on one second. And then I'll come back here. Hold on one second. There are not. So I'm going to go back to this. Share my screen again. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Am
It's not on
okay.
presentation mode though.
Okay, let me put it on the slideshow. So can you tell me a little bit about your experience with the Kodo itself?
Yes. Okay. So, once again, I first found out about the Kumano Kodo several years ago on this trip to Japan, and I immediately became interested in it because I love to walk and to hike in nature. And turns out that the Kumano Kodo is one of two World Heritage pilgrimage sites, the other one being Camino de Santiago, which is in mostly in Spain and Portugal, and the Kumano Kodo, which is a sacred pilgrimage trail that connects several other points to the Kumano Sanzan, the big shrines, and it connects them to also to the Koyasan sacred mountain and to the Shugendo sacred mountain, and there are several entry points to them, and they pass right through Kumano city. So if you're walking from there, it's very easy to get on the trails. As a matter of fact, I think from the land, maybe within, let's say, 10-minute walk, you can be on the Kumano Kodo, the Matsumoto Toge, which is the closest pass. And you can just keep walking. I think that was initially how I started, just on the weekend, getting out and just started walking. And I ended up in a couple of days, the one trip I made it all the way to Oase, so a portion of the Iseji Trail, which is the round that connects it to the Ise Shrine. And I've also done, I think at this stage, I've done all of the Nakahechi, which is the most well-known trail. I did not do it all at once. On my first trip, I did this section that connects Shingu to Kumano Hongu Taisha, and then earlier last year, I did this section that connects Tanabe City to Kumano Hongu Taisha, and also some portions of the Ohechi, which is the coastal route, which is quite different from the others. And to be fair, I want to walk all of it. It's just such a beautiful sensation. You're surrounded by nature the whole time, and you are walking on a trail that has had all these spiritual intentions from people that have been walking for over 1,000 years. So it's incredible energy, and it does feel like you can feel a sense of sacredness around the whole around the whole place. I don't know if I can even call it a place because it is so many places. You can see incredible views and you feel imbued with this sense that, the sacredness of nature, which does tie in with the Shinto beliefs, not wanting to go too much into it because I don't think I'm the best person to speak to that. But this idea of gods in nature and sacred trees, sacred stones, sacred places, it does feel like that. And it's all, I think it also represents another beautiful thing that you can find in Japan, which is the integration between different religions and spiritual traditions, to the extent that they've connected different sacred places of different religions with these trails, and people walk them to this day. So it doesn't matter what kind of faith or spiritual tradition you're coming from. I think the Kumano Kodo does help you experience the particular energy in that in this region, even if you just connect with nature and you don't really feel much into the religious side of things, there is still an incredible place to be. And then also the culture, because throughout walking all those trails, you can also find so many cultural spots, learn about the traditions, try the local food, and the accommodation if you end up staying. It's generally Minshuku type accommodation where you will stay with local people who are generally very friendly, and you will get to know a little bit about it from them as well. Very different from staying in a hotel somewhere and getting a room that's like 100 others and not talking to anyone. So overall, it's just an incredible experience, and I would recommend to anyone.
Thank
Does
you.
that answer your question?
Yes. Before I interpret, I'm actually going to pause. One. Great. 先ほど、カルリナさんが、言ったのは、その2018年の、旅から非常に熊野古道を歩きたいという気分が、溢れてて、そして2022年、いくつかの、例えば伊勢路も中辺地も歩く経験が、できまして、中辺地は2020年、2022年および2024年、ほぼすべて歩いたんですけれども、それは、1回ではなくて、部分的に歩いたりしました。こういう熊野古道の素晴らしさは、皆さんご存知のように、巡礼の道として有名ですし、また、カルリナさんの母国であるポルトガルには同じような、世界遺産の、カミノデ・サンティアゴもあります。主に、スペインとポルトガルにありますけれども、あのカルリナさんはこういう、聖なる熊野古道、その熊野の、三山とか、高野山などとか、修験道の重要性など、いくつかのことについて話してたんですけれども、こういう熊野の素晴らしさはやっぱり重層的にいろんな信仰が、あるというところですので、自分がこう神道とか仏教、こう信じなくても自分のこう信仰、自分の大事にしてる考えをこう持ってて、その自然と非常にこう、絡み合ってるというか、自然が背景となる熊野古道が、誰にとっても非常に素晴らしい経験になる、ということですね。あと、何百年、千年、この道を歩いた、こう、背景があるので、それを実際に自分もこう体験することのできることも非常に素晴らしいと思ってます。新宮から、you walked from 新宮 to 本宮大社, was it?
Yes, it's part of the Nakahechi.
中辺地の一部として新宮から、本宮大社 and you also walked from 田辺 to 本宮大社.
Yes, that, and then also I've walked from Kumano City to Oase City and a portion of the OHE. Yeah, but I can't recall the exact names of the towns. They were smaller towns though. Just a couple of days walking.
カルリナさんが非常に、素晴らしいことを、ご教示いただいたのは、熊野市、その、外ノノの、このクラウドファンディングの対象となる、外ノノのから、わずかの10分から、10分歩いて、熊野古道を歩むことができるということですね。まあ、先ほど、松本峠についても話したんですし、あとは熊野市から尾鷲までという、異星人も歩くことができる。なので、この、最後に、そろそろ時間になっていますけれども、最後にこのクラウドファンディングの重要性について話していきたいと思います。Thank you very much, Carolina. Before we go for today, I'd like you to share with us why this crowdfunding campaign is important, why the renovation of Sotononono, this Taisho era farmhouse, is so important for our project and so important for the local community.
Well, because it is, if you only have land available, I mean, you can receive people for a very short, let's say a half-day event on the land, but you can't really properly welcome people. So it is a little bit of a blockage to not have some infrastructure, even if it is not so big. Let's say the infrastructure is a base. It also allows for the ability to have some digital elements to the training. Let's say if there were a need to share some presentations, or if it would start to rain and you could have a dialogue session inside all of a sudden. It also would allow to have some other more technical equipment, despite it not being maybe so obvious. We've also done couple of collaboration events, for example, one of them involving robotics with local students. And of course, that needs an indoor space. When we'd like to do more, we've also been exploring virtual reality technologies and how certain things that are being developed now, such as Web3 and AI technologies, can help people to understand nature better and to connect with nature in a different way and supplement their knowledge. And of course, that requires indoor space. And to some extent, also, if we have volunteers or people doing a residency, for example, it also would provide a structure for them to be able to stay a bit longer, contribute a bit longer, and serve the community longer as well. And once again, then if you have a structure, you can also actually have a schedule and a place that is open for the community, for students to come visit, for other people in the community to host events. There are a lot of opportunities open up with a physical space that people can associate with you, can come for, and that they associate with energy, new ideas, innovation. And this is what we're aiming for in the region, to help bring the connections between local people, especially the younger generations, with some energy from outside, with new technologies, help them get excited about their region, new possibilities. And the structure is key to this, and we have managed to get very far with a student-led project and our own efforts, but a crowdfunding campaign would go very, very far in helping us to bring the vision to reality for sure.
Thank you very much. 先ほど、なぜこの、ソトノノノのクラウドファンディングは非常に、重要か、と言いますと、まあ、半日ぐらいのワークショップは、その、ソトノノノなしはできるかもしれませんけれども、やっぱり、まあ、1日もしくは長い滞在によって、よりその、周辺の社会にも貢献できますし、まあ、雨が急に降ったりして、まあ、安全の観点から、快適さの観点からまた外なのに入って、ワークショップを引き続き、継続もできますし、まあ、あとは、こう自然あふれてる、熊野市、熊野古道でもありながら、いくつかのやっぱり技術とか、デジタル的なツールもこれからも、まあ、今まで多少的実証実験の、ぐらいはやってましたけれども、これから、まあ、本活躍ということも望んでいますので、計画してますので、まあ、例えば BR とか、まあ、以前、2022年の秋に、 遠隔操作ロボット大会とかもやってまして、それはやっぱり、ある程度電気とか室内のスペースとか、トイレとかが必要ということですね。でもこれ、やっぱり、カルリーナさんが最後に、言った、とてもこのソトノノノのプロジェクトの中心になる軸なんですけれども、コミュニティスクールとも言うんですけれども、コミュニティに貢献、することが中心であるんですので、コミュニティを貢献するために、やっぱりより長く滞在でも、勉強でも、対話でも、ダイアログでできる、スペース、空間が必要です。ですので、皆さんぜひ、このコミュニティの貢献を、軸として、コミュニティスクール、外のの、クラウドファンディングキャンペーン、あとわずか1週間もない、ですけれども、来週26日の火曜日までなんですが、これから、最後の一言、カロリーナさんからも、聞かせてもらいたいんですけれども、カロリーナまた、熊野にまた訪問しますけれども、その間、どうする予定か、どうコミュニティスクール、外のを活用したいかの最後の一言を、聞かせてもらいたいと思います。Our last question for today, for you, Carolina, is how do you plan to utilize community schools? So, what do you plan to do in your next trip to Kumano, your upcoming trip to Kumano? And how do you plan to utilize the community school Sotononono, which is the subject of this crowdfunding campaign?
Okay, so the next visit, I'm focusing at the moment on building relationships and partnerships. And one of the things that we're hoping to do, I think at the time that I'm going to be there, there is an initiative in Kumano City where you have open gardens that people can visit around the city. So we're hoping to put the land on that list so that we'll receive community visits and be able to show them the project. We are also developing some partnerships with universities. I'm not going to divulge it yet. They will become public. And then the land and the Sotononono school will be key for some of the events that we'd do with them. And also we're hoping to set up some temporary infrastructure that's sustainable, that can sort of create pop-ups for people to experience nature, and it will all be based out of the school. So we'll have a need for infrastructure support, and we're hoping to also from these pop-ups send people to the school for events and participation in nature-related activities. We are also dreaming about a sort of small garden forest school that would be completely based out of the land. And I'm not sure if this is going to be immediate for this visit because it's very soon, but this is also one of our more immediate goals because it's something we've wanted to do for quite a while now.
Thank you. Thank you. And are some of those pop-ups going to be in other locations outside of the Sotonono area as well? The infrastructure will be stored there, but do you plan to move the infrastructure to other sites?
Yes, but mostly around around the Kumano-Kodo region, because the idea is to serve that region. It might go to other locations, but the main pop-ups will be around within, let's say, walking distance, at least
Great.
for now, because it's very much the beginning of these ideas. And it's still very much being tested. We also like this idea that we're a little bit of an innovation lab. So we're trying different things, seeing what the communities respond to, how our project can help people experience the experiences that other community partners are offering that also help you to interact with the local nature, the local culture, and to help foster responsible tourism and economic activity in the region. A big part of the project for us is to be able to integrate harmoniously with the local projects and become part of the community and be seen as a valuable addition to the community.
Thank you. Before I interpret, do we have time to take one question from the audience, or should we, is that okay?
Yes, I think we still have a few minutes.
これからカロリーナの、ご回答通訳しますけれども、もし聞いてる皆さん、チャットを用いて質問があれば最後に質問応答として、一つ、二つの質問をぜひ聞いてください。先ほど、そのカロリーナさんが、言ったのは、まだ公開できないけれども、ある、熊野に近い、大学との連携を、促進するために、そのコミュニティスクール相当の、必要性があり、その、大学と連携して、いくつかのワークショップとか関係人口増加を目標としたイベントなどする予定ですし、あと、ポップアップということ、熊野古道、紀伊半島、熊野市割に比較的に近いところで、そのポップアップイベントなど、ちょっとインフラが必要としている、テントみたいなイメージでいいんですけれども、それやっぱりそのインフラ的なことを補完するためにですね、外の活用したいということですし、あとは夏に、熊野市全体で、ウェブサイトは興味があれば皆さんに公開できるけれども、自分の庭か畑を登録すれば、その熊野市が、ある、法人、協会、が、管理しているウェブサイトですけれども、自分の庭がそのサイトに、載せて、そしてコミュニティの誰でも、観光者の誰でも、お越しいただけるような、お越しやす安くするため、形になるんですので、外ののも、我々のガーデンも、そのウェブサイトに今年を目標として載せる、ゴールはもう一つですし、いくつかのイノベーションのことも起こしたいんですけれども、カロリナが非常に重要だと言ったのは、やっぱりローカルパートナーですね。ローカルコミュニティですね。いずれにしても、外の、コミュニティの一部であり、コミュニティのパートナー企業やコミュニティ組織とか人材に貢献できる、ベネフィット、なんていう、有利的なこと、良いことを届けする目標としているプロジェクトになってますので、ぜひとも、外の、ご支援、ご応援お願いします。So we have one question from the audience from Motoko-san. She says, excuse me, is today's online event already finished? And the answer is, it's almost finished. But Motoko-san, we will make the video available to you online. And so you're able to listen to it and watch it afterwards. そうですね。そろそろイベントが、終わりますけれども、これを、録画しましたので、今日、明日ぐらいはこのデータを YouTube に載せて、行く予定ですし、また、あさっての土曜日、また熊野の、野地木さんと、また同じ外野のダイアログ、3番をライブ配信にしますので、ぜひご興味がありましたらご参加をお待ちしております。We have one more question, and that's from Miki-san, Carolina. さんが思う熊野の人の魅力は何ですか？ What do you think is the charm and the sort of special characteristics of the people of Kumano? That's our last question for today.
Well, I think that, first of all, everyone that I've met on the Kumano Kodo and in the Kumano region is lovely. I have not had bad experiences with people. People are incredibly friendly. And then also, at least the ones I've been able to have more conversations with, they are really knowledgeable about their region. So everyone locally, people are really a store of knowledge, and you've got an interesting mix of people that have been living in the region for a long time and involved in the local government, in the local tourism industry, and they have learned so much about traditions of the region, and they can recommend so many different things for you to do and experience. And there's also people that have come up to open small businesses that are really, really charming and that try to use local products. I have had the best experience with the people. And this is one of the best, one of my favorite reasons for walking the Kumano Kodo is the people you meet along the way. All of the small shops you can visit with the local crafts, the small foods you can try, and people will talk to you in a friendly way. You can approach them and you will learn something interesting from each and every one of them.
Thank you, ミキさん。ご質問ありがとうございます。カロリナさんが言ったのは、本当に、皆さんのその熊野、の、人材の地域住民の特徴はフレンリーで、その本当にラブリーとか、愛触れたら、感じですし、本当にあとはその地方に関する知識とか知恵が非常に深いですので、その方々とダイアログすると、本当に熊野の歴史とか、についてもいろいろこう、伺わせていただけるんですし、あとその本当に魅力的な、その、起業家っていうか、小売店とか、レストランとか、食材を出してる店が、結構、こう、よくありますし、熊野古道あたりで、その本当に地域の、食材というか農産物からできている美味しいものをこう食べたりすることも非常に、嬉しいですし、あくまでこの地域にこう長く根付いている住民と、その長年根付いている住民の知恵をよくくれること、いただけることが非常に、熊野のより知りたい、体験したい人にとって非常に魅力を感じているそうです。You raised your hand, Carolina. Did you want to add something?
Yes, I just realized, and I did not plan for this, but this shirt I'm wearing, I got it in a small shop in Kumano that was just celebrating its first anniversary at the time that I arrived, that at the time that I was there last. I think it was in December. Yes, and I ended up having such a nice chat with the shopkeeper. She was a young woman who just moved, opened the shop full of small, unique pieces. And once again, like it's every interaction. You walk into a small shop and you have a full-on conversation. You get to sort of have a human one-on-one interaction with someone, even for something as simple as this. And getting to know a little bit of her story. Yeah, so I definitely recommend to everyone.
And where was the shop located?
In the main street of Kumano City.
Do you know the name of it or offhand or no?
Not off the top of my head, but I
Okay,
can find it.
we'll figure that out. 最後のその偶然っていうか必然っていうか、今、キャロリナさんが、聞いてる、セタは、熊野市の、商店街、店で買ったんですね。ですので、その店はちょうどキャロリナさんが店に入ったとき、その店は一周年の、お祝いというか、一周年の、記念日だったそうですし、本当にカロリナさんはその店長の方と、また地域のこと、とかお店のことをこう本当にフレンリーで話し合うこと、ができて本当に嬉しかったです。I wanted to thank, first of all, Carolina for being such a wonderful part of our second Sotononono dialogue, for talking about why this crowdfunding campaign is so important for our project. And also, I wanted to thank all the people who came to participate to today's session on Zoom, as well as to the hopefully many people who will be able to watch this on YouTube when we upload it in a couple of days. Thank you very much, Carolina, and everyone who came today. It was really fun having you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. It's a really fun conversation.
Okay. Goodbye.